Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony and watched the stars move slowly past the main window. His ship floated between two alien fleets that wanted to kill each other. The crystalline Vextai ships looked like giant diamonds that caught the light from the nearby sun. Their enemy ships belonged to the Mercon, a water-breathing race whose vessels moved like metal fish through space. Jake had seen this kind of fight many times before. Two alien races angry about something and ready to start shooting. This time, they fought over rocks in space that had valuable metals inside them. The Vextai said the asteroid field belonged to them because their people found it first. The Mercon claimed it was theirs because the rocks floated in their star system. "Captain Morrison," said Commander Lisa Park as she walked up to him. Lisa had short brown hair and kind eyes that made aliens trust her quickly. "The Vextai leader wants to talk again. He seems very angry about yesterday's meeting." Jake nodded and touched a button on his chair. The main screen showed a tall creature made of living crystal. Light moved through its body like colored water. When it spoke, its voice sounded like music played through broken glass. "Human Morrison," the Vextai leader said, "your people promised us justice. The fish beings steal our rightful claim to the metal rocks. We will not wait much longer for action." Jake kept his face calm and peaceful. He had practiced this expression for many years. "Leader Shalthus, we understand your concerns, but violence will not solve this problem. Give us more time to find a solution that works for everyone." The crystal being's light grew brighter with anger. "Time. Always you humans ask for more time. While we wait, the Mercon send more ships to guard our rocks." "I promise you," Jake said softly, "we will find a fair answer. Have we ever failed to solve a problem before?" The alien leader's light dimmed a little. All the galaxy knew that humans never failed to make peace. For 70 years, they had ended wars that lasted for thousands of years. They stopped fights before they started. They made enemies become friends. "No," Shalthus admitted. "Humans always find the peaceful way. We will wait 3 more days." The screen went dark. Lisa Park smiled at Jake. "Another angry customer satisfied," she said. "I'll set up the meeting with the Mercon leader for this afternoon." Jake walked to the window again and looked at the alien ships. Both fleets had enough weapons to destroy small moons. Their crews wanted blood and glory. But they would wait because humans asked them to wait. Every species in the galaxy respected human wisdom when it came to making peace. What they did not know was how Jake's eyes counted every weapon on those ships. He noticed which vessels looked newer and which ones seemed to have engine problems. He saw how they positioned themselves and what formation they liked to use. His brain automatically calculated how long it would take to destroy each ship if needed. Lieutenant Amy Foster sat at a control station near the back of the bridge. Her fingers moved across her datapad in what looked like nervous tapping. Any alien watching would think she felt worried about the tense situation. They would not understand that her finger movements were actually Morse code. She sent information about ship positions and weapon counts to hidden human observation posts throughout the sector. "Amy," Jake called to her, "send a message to Ambassador Chen on New Geneva Station. Tell him we might need backup negotiation support if this drags on longer." Amy nodded and began typing. Her message looked like a simple request for help with the peace talks. The real meaning was hidden in the word choices and letter spacing. It told human intelligence officers exactly where each alien ship carried its main power source and how many crew members it had. The Harmony's diplomatic mission employed 37 humans. Official records showed them as translators, cultural advisors, peace negotiators, and technical experts. What the records did not show was their real training. Every person on the WER ship could fight, kill, and destroy in ways that would terrify the alien races around them. Dr. Kate Williams worked in the ship's medical bay. Aliens who visited for health checks always commented on her gentle touch and caring nature. They never suspected that she spent years studying alien biology to learn exactly how to kill each species quickly and quietly. Her medical knowledge included detailed information about alien weak points, poison sensitivities, and nervous system vulnerabilities. Commander Paul Harris managed the ship's communications. He spoke 12 alien languages and could make friends with anyone. His real job involved intercepting and decoding alien military communications. Every day he learned new secrets about alien fleet movements, defense plans, and political problems. He stored all this information in hidden databases that only humans could access. The Harmony looked like a peaceful diplomatic vessel from the outside. Its hull was painted white with blue stripes that symbolized human commitment to peace. But hidden beneath the peaceful exterior were weapon systems that could punch holes through space station armor. The ship's engines could push it faster than any alien vessel in the sector. Its shields could absorb punishment that would destroy 3 alien cruisers. Jake returned to his captain's chair and thought about the current situation. The Vextai and Mercon problem would end the same way all alien conflicts ended. Humans would find a compromise that made both sides happy enough to stop fighting. The aliens would praise human wisdom and kindness. They would never suspect the truth. The truth was that humans had no interest in fairness or justice. They only cared about control. Every peace treaty they negotiated gave humans more influence over alien governments. Every trade agreement opened new alien markets to human businesses. Every cultural exchange program sent human agents into alien society. Ambassador Rick Chen contacted the ship from New Geneva Station. His face appeared on the main screen, showing a middle-aged man with graying hair and a warm smile. Behind him, the station's council chambers buzzed with activity as different alien species worked together on various problems. "Jake," Rick said, "I heard you might need some extra help with the mining dispute. I can send Negotiator Brown and her team if things get complicated." "That would be helpful," Jake replied. "The Vextai are getting impatient, and the Mercon keep adding more ships to their fleet." Rick nodded. "Don't worry. We've handled situations like this before. I'm sure you'll find a solution that makes everyone happy." The conversation seemed completely normal to any alien listeners. They would hear 2 humans discussing peaceful ways to solve a problem. They would not understand the real message being passed between Jake and Rick. The mention of Negotiator Brown meant that human military intelligence wanted detailed scans of both alien fleets. The comment about extra help confirmed that attack plans were already being prepared in case diplomacy failed. Lisa Park worked at her station, preparing for the afternoon meeting with the Mercon. She studied their cultural files and learned about their customs. This knowledge would help her speak to them in ways that made them feel comfortable and respected. But she also reviewed their military files, learning about their ship designs and battle tactics. The afternoon meeting went exactly as expected. The Mercon leader, a sleek creature with silver scales and large black eyes, explained why his people deserved the asteroid field. He spoke about ancient claims and historical rights. He promised that his government only wanted to mine the rocks peacefully. Lisa listened with patience and understanding. She asked thoughtful questions and showed respect for Mercon culture. She suggested several possible compromises that might work for both sides. The alien leader grew more relaxed as the meeting continued. What he did not know was that Lisa had already decided how this conflict would end. Humans had no intention of letting either side control the asteroid field completely. Instead, they would create a joint mining operation managed by a human-led committee. Both alien races would get some of what they wanted, but humans would control the most valuable resources. As the day ended, Jake Morrison stood alone on the bridge and looked out at the alien fleets. Tomorrow he would announce a brilliant solution that would make both sides happy. The aliens would celebrate human wisdom and generosity. They would never suspect that they had been manipulated from the very beginning. In 70 years of galactic peacekeeping, humans had never failed to find a solution. What the galaxy did not understand was that humans always knew the answer before the problem even started. They created the conditions that led to conflicts, then stepped in to solve them in ways that increased human power and influence. The peaceful facade was perfect. No alien suspected the truth. Humans were not peacekeepers at all. They were patient, hunters, waiting for the right moment to reveal their true nature to an unsuspecting galaxy. 3 months passed since Jake Morrison solved the asteroid dispute between the Vextai and Mercon. Both alien races now work together in the mining operation, sharing profits under human supervision. The galaxy celebrated another example of human wisdom, bringing peace where there had been conflict. Admiral Susan Blake sat in her office aboard the UES Constitution, reading reports from across human space. At 62 years old, she had gray hair and lines around her eyes that came from decades of making difficult decisions. Her ship orbited Earth, hidden among the many civilian vessels that traveled between the planet and its orbital stations. The morning started like any other day. Trade reports showed alien merchants buying human goods at record levels. Diplomatic messages praised human negotiators for preventing 3 different wars in the past month. Cultural exchange programs sent more human students to alien universities than ever before. Then everything changed. Lieutenant Commander Steve Parker burst into Blake's office without knocking. His face was pale and his hands shook as he held a data pad. "Admiral," he said, "we're getting reports from the Talash system. It's bad." Blake took the data pad and read the first few lines. Her expression did not change, but her grip on the device grew tighter. "How many survivors?" she asked. "Unknown, ma'am. Maybe none. The Krethek hit them with everything they had." The reports painted a picture of absolute destruction. The Krethek Empire, a race of large reptilian warriors covered in natural armor, had launched a surprise attack on the peaceful Talash homeworld. The Talash were gentle beings who looked almost human except for their larger eyes and pale blue skin. They had no military forces and depended on the Galactic Council for protection. Krethek warships dropped out of hyperspace without warning. They targeted civilian centers first, destroying hospitals, schools, and residential areas. Orbital defense platforms that were meant to protect against asteroids proved useless against military weapons. Within 6 hours, the major cities lay in ruins. The Krethek broadcast their victory across subspace radio. Emperor Vashishtar himself appeared on every frequency, his massive form covered in battle scars and ceremonial armor. His voice boomed with pride and arrogance. "Let all species witness Krethek's strength," the Emperor declared. "For too long we have listened to human words about peace and cooperation. Peace is weakness. Cooperation is surrender. The Krethek Empire will no longer bow to human demands or accept human judgment." Blake watched the broadcast with cold eyes. She had expected this day to come eventually. Every species in the galaxy feared the Krethek because of their size, strength, and love of violence. But they had been kept in check by treaty obligations and fear of galactic isolation. Now they had decided that human influence had made the galaxy too soft. The Talash trusted in human protection. Emperor Vashitar continued. "Where are their human saviors now? Where are the great peacemakers who promise safety to the weak? We show you the truth about human power. It exists only in words and empty promises." The broadcast ended with images of burning Talash cities. Estimated casualties reached into the billions. An entire civilization had been wiped out in less than a day. Blake's aide, Captain Nancy Lewis, entered the office with more reports. "Admiral, the Galactic Council is calling an emergency session. They want human representatives there immediately." "Tell them we'll send someone," Blake said. "Also send a priority message to all human ships and stations. Use authorization code Crimson." Nancy's eyes widened. Crimson was the code that meant the peaceful facade was ending. Every human in space had trained for this moment, but many hoped it would never come. The Galactic Council chambers on New Geneva Station filled with representatives from dozens of species. The insectoid Zarthek chittered nervously among themselves. The gaseous nebula pulsed with dim, worried colors. Even the proud Vextai seemed shaken by the scale of Krethek brutality. Ambassador Rick Chen walked into the chamber wearing his usual diplomatic uniform. His face showed the same calm expression he always wore during council meetings. Other representatives expected him to propose sanctions against the Krethek Empire or suggest forming a coalition to demand justice. Instead, Rick stood at the human podium and spoke just 4 words. "Diplomatic immunity is revoked." The chamber fell silent. No one understood what those words meant. Diplomatic immunity was a legal concept that protected ambassadors from prosecution. How could it be revoked? And what did that have to do with the Krethek attack? Rick continued speaking in his quiet, peaceful voice. "For 70 years, humanity has served this council as mediators and peacekeepers. We accepted restrictions on our military activities in exchange for diplomatic status. That agreement is now terminated." A Vextai representative, her crystal body flickering with confused colors, asked, "What does this mean for the Krethek situation? Will humans help us form a response to their aggression?" Rick smiled the same kind smile he had worn for decades. The Kurthak situation will be resolved. Please excuse me while I contact my government for further instructions. As Rick left the chamber, confused alien voices filled the air. They had never seen humans refuse to negotiate or offer compromise solutions. This behavior made no sense according to everything they knew about human nature. What they did not know was that Rick's real message had nothing to do with diplomatic immunity. His words were a coded signal being broadcast to every human in the galaxy. The waiting was over. The time for pretending had ended. Across human space, the transformation began immediately. Captain Roy Martinez commanded what appeared to be a simple cargo vessel called the Portland. His ship carried medical supplies and farming equipment to colonies throughout the frontier. At least that was what his official cargo manifest claimed. When Roy received the coded message, he entered a command sequence into his ship's computer. The cargo bay walls slid apart to reveal rows of torpedo tubes and particle beam weapons. The ship's hull plating shifted to expose sensor arrays and shield generators that had been hidden for decades. Within minutes, the peaceful cargo hauler had become a heavy cruiser, capable of destroying space stations. Similar transformations happened throughout the galaxy. The research vessel Vancouver revealed itself as a carrier ship loaded with fighter craft. The mining platform orbiting Kepler 442b unfolded massive railguns that could punch holes through asteroid armor. The diplomatic transport Boston activated stealth systems that made it invisible to alien sensors. Dr. Helen Foster, president of the Human Colonial Authority, prepared to address the galaxy from her office on Earth. She had spent 40 years building humanity's reputation as wise peacemakers. Today she would reveal the truth that lay beneath that carefully constructed image. The broadcast reached every inhabited system in the galaxy. Helen appeared on screens in alien homes, government buildings, and military command centers. Her familiar face and grandmotherly appearance had always made other species feel safe and comfortable. Citizens of the galaxy, she began. Today the Kurthak Empire committed an act of genocide against the peaceful Talish people. This attack violated every treaty and moral principle that governs civilized behavior. The Kurthak have chosen to reject the peace that humanity has worked so hard to build. Alien leaders nodded in agreement. They expected Helen to announce sanctions or call for Kurthak isolation from galactic society. Instead, she said, "Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from all peace treaties and defense agreements. We will no longer serve as mediators in alien conflicts. We will no longer guarantee the safety of any non-human species." The word sent shockwaves through alien governments. Without human mediation, dozens of frozen conflicts would immediately restart. Without human guarantees, weak species would find themselves defenseless against aggressive neighbors. Helen continued, "For 70 years we have studied your peoples, your governments, your military capabilities, and your weaknesses. We know where you live, how you fight, and what you fear. This knowledge was gathered in the name of peace, but it can serve other purposes." The gentle expression never left her face as she spoke words that chilled every alien listener. The Kurthak believe that peace is weakness and cooperation is surrender. They have chosen to test this theory against humanity. We accept their challenge. As the broadcast ended, emergency meetings began in every alien capital. Military leaders pulled out files on human capabilities and realized how little they actually knew. Trade agreements and cultural exchanges had given humans access to every alien world. But what had humans really been doing there? Intelligence reports that had seemed harmless now looked sinister. Human agricultural advisors had detailed knowledge of alien food production systems. Human medical researchers understood alien biology better than alien doctors did. Human cultural attachés knew the location of every government building and military base. The Kurthak Empire celebrated their victory over the Talesh. But Emperor Vashitar felt uneasy about humanity's response. He had expected angry words and empty threats. Instead, humans had simply walked away from the galactic community they had helped build. Admiral Blake stood on the bridge of the Constitution as it prepared to leave Earth orbit. Around her, other human ships emerged from their hiding places among civilian traffic. The merchant fleet that had seemed so innocent was revealing itself. A Captain Roy Martinez stood on what had been the bridge of a cargo ship just hours before. Now the Portland revealed its true nature, as a heavy cruiser bristling with weapons that made alien warships look like toys. The transformation still amazed him, even though he had trained for this moment for 20 years. Around the Portland, other human vessels shed their peaceful disguises. The medical transport Denver extended massive sensor arrays and powered up electronic warfare systems. The scientific research ship Phoenix unfolded wing-like structures that housed enough firepower to level a small moon. The colony transport Seattle revealed itself as a troop carrier loaded with 10,000 elite soldiers. Across human space, the same scene played out hundreds of times. Ships that had carried civilians, trade goods, and diplomatic messages now showed their true purpose as instruments of war. Space stations that had provided fuel and supplies to alien visitors activated defense systems that could destroy entire fleets. The mining platform orbiting Kepler 442b began its own transformation. What aliens had thought was a simple asteroid processing facility revealed itself as a fortress with armor thicker than most planetary shields. Massive railguns emerged from hidden compartments, their barrels long enough to target ships on the other side of the star system. Station Commander Linda Adams watched her display screens as the facility completed its change. For 15 years, she had played the role of a civilian administrator managing a peaceful mining operation. Alien visitors had toured the station regularly, praising human engineering and efficiency. None of them had noticed the hidden corridors, secret weapon stores, or the fact that every worker was actually a trained soldier. "Ma'am," reported Lieutenant Kevin Brooks, "all weapon systems are online. We have full sensor coverage of the system and beyond. The Krithak don't know we're here yet." Linda nodded. The Krithak had ignored this system because it seemed to contain nothing but a human mining operation and some worthless rocky planets. They would learn too late that human definitions of worthless were very different from alien ones. On Earth, President Helen Foster continued her broadcast to the galaxy. But now the gentle grandmother was gone, replaced by someone whose voice carried the weight of absolute authority. She stood in what had appeared to be a simple office, but was actually the command center for the largest military force in galactic history. "My fellow humans," she said, switching to a frequency that only human receivers could decode. "Today we remove the masks we have worn for 70 years. Today the galaxy learns what we really are." Displays around her showed human forces throughout the galaxy revealing themselves. Every civilian installation was actually a military base. Every merchant ship was actually a warship. Every cultural attaché was actually a spy and assassin. The scope of the deception was staggering. In 70 years of peaceful contact, humans had positioned themselves throughout alien space. They had built hidden facilities on uninhabited planets. They had established secret bases in asteroid fields that aliens thought were empty. They had created a military network that stretched across the entire galaxy. Dr. Catherine Lee worked in her laboratory aboard the research vessel Atlantic. For decades, aliens had praised her groundbreaking work in xenobiology and interspecies medicine. They had no idea that every friendly medical examination, every helpful biological consultation, and every scientific collaboration had been gathering data for weapons development. Catherine's real research focused on finding ways to kill alien species efficiently. She had developed biological weapons tailored to specific alien DNA sequences. She had created nerve agents that affected only certain nervous systems. She had designed nanobots that could disable alien technology from the inside. "Doctor," her assistant called from across the lab, "we're receiving deployment orders. The Admiral wants the Krithak-specific compounds ready for field testing." Catherine smiled as she prepared vials of a substance that would shut down Krithak brain functions in minutes. The compound looked like harmless saline solution, but it had been designed to exploit a weakness in Krithak neural chemistry that their own scientists had never discovered. The Galactic Council met in emergency session as reports flooded in from across alien space. The insectoid Zarthek representative clicked his mandibles in distress as he described human ships appearing in Zarthek territory. The aquatic Mercon delegate's gills fluttered with panic as she reported human forces surrounding their homeworld. "This makes no sense," chittered the Zarthek. "Humans are peacekeepers. They do not have military forces capable of such widespread deployment." Ambassador Rick Chen had returned to the council chamber, but now he sat in a different chair. Instead of the small desk assigned to human representatives, he occupied the central position usually reserved for the council president. When challenged about this breach of protocol, he simply smiled. "The protocols have changed," Rick said calmly. "Humanity is no longer a member of this council. We are now its supervisors." The Vextai representative, her crystal body flickering with agitated colors, demanded, By what authority do you claim this position? The Galactic Council is a democratic institution. No single species can simply take control. Rick touched a control on his new desk. The chamber's main display activated, showing real-time images from across the galaxy. Human warships surrounded every major alien world. Human battle stations controlled every important trade route. Human forces had appeared in star systems that aliens thought were safely beyond any military reach. This authority, Rick said simply. We are everywhere. We know everything. We control every strategic resource and transportation hub in the galaxy. You may continue to debate and vote as much as you like, but your decisions will only matter if we approve them. Colonel Nina Rodriguez led her team through the corridors of a Krthak military base on their border world of Kethmar. For 5 years, she had worked on this planet as a human trade representative, helping to negotiate mining contracts and cultural exchanges. The Krthak had grown to trust her friendly manner and helpful attitude. They had no idea that Nina was actually a special forces operator with 30 years of combat experience. While appearing to work on trade agreements, she had been mapping every military installation on the planet. She knew where the Krthak kept their weapons, how many soldiers were stationed at each base, and which systems were most vulnerable to sabotage. Nina's team moved through the base without triggering any alarms. They had disabled the security systems using access codes that Nina had stolen during her years of legitimate visits. The Krthak guards never suspected that the human woman who brought them gifts and asked friendly questions was actually preparing to destroy them. "Colonel," whispered Sergeant Pete Williams, "we're in position at the main power core. Charges are set." Nina nodded and activated her communicator. Similar reports came in from teams throughout Krthak space. Human agents who had spent years building relationships and gaining trust were now using that access to strike at the heart of Krthak military power. The Krthak had thought they were being clever by attacking the defenseless Talesh. They believed that humans were too weak and peaceful to respond with force. Emperor Vashitar had gambled that destroying one human-protected species would prove to the galaxy that human promises were worthless. Instead, the attack had given humans the excuse they needed to drop their peaceful disguise. For 70 years, they had been building toward this moment. Every trade agreement had positioned human forces in alien space. Every cultural exchange had gathered intelligence on alien weaknesses. Every peace treaty had been designed to limit alien military development while hiding human capabilities. Captain Alex Turner commanded the stealth ship Invisible, which lived up to its name by being completely undetectable to alien sensors. His vessel had spent 15 years conducting reconnaissance missions throughout Krthak territory while officially carrying diplomatic mail between human embassies. Turner knew the location of every Krthak fleet, every supply depot, and every strategic weakness in their empire. His ship's computers contained detailed plans for dismantling Krthak civilization piece by piece. The plans had been ready for implementation for over a decade, waiting only for the right moment. "Captain," reported his navigator, "Lieutenant Sarah Davis. We're receiving the go signal from Earth Command. Operation Revelation is now active." Turner smiled grimly. "Begin Phase 1. Target their supply lines first. Let's show the Krthak what happens when they mistake patience for weakness." Throughout the galaxy, alien governments tried to understand what was happening. Emergency sessions convened in every capital as leaders demanded answers from their intelligence services. How had humans built such a massive military force without anyone noticing? How had they positioned themselves so perfectly for a coordinated strike across dozens of star systems? The answers were terrifying. Humans had been planning this for decades. Every peaceful gesture had been calculated. Every friendly offer of help had been designed to gather information or position human assets. Every act of Admiral George Carter stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance and watched the Krthak fleet approach the Deneb system. For the past 8 years, Carter had been officially dead, killed in an exploratory mission accident according to Galactic Council records. In reality, he had been commanding Ghost Fleet, a collection of human warships that did not exist in any official database. The Krthak force consisted of 12 heavy cruisers and 48 escort vessels, all painted in the dark red color that Krthak warriors believed would intimidate their enemies. The ships moved in a traditional Krthak attack formation, designed to create maximum psychological impact through overwhelming displays of force. "Admiral," reported Captain Beth Moore from her position at the tactical station, Krithak fleet is maintaining course toward the outer planets. They're broadcasting victory songs on all frequencies. Carter nodded. The Krithak loved to announce their presence with loud music and boastful declarations. It was part of their warrior culture to let enemies know they were coming. They believed that fear was a weapon more powerful than any gun or missile. What they did not understand was that their broadcasts made them easy to track and target. Human ships had been following the Krithak fleet for 3 days, matching their course and speed while remaining completely invisible. Ghost Fleet vessels used stealth technology that made them undetectable to alien sensors. Time to contact? Carter asked. 17 minutes until they reach weapons range of the mining colonies, Beth replied. The colonists have been evacuated as ordered, but the Krithak don't know that yet. Carter smiled coldly. The Krithak expected to find defenseless human miners whom they could slaughter as easily as they had killed the Talesh. Instead, they would find empty colonies and a trap that had been set specifically for them. Lieutenant Commander Jack Sullivan monitored communications from his station. For 5 years, he had intercepted Krithak military messages, while posing as a communications technician at a neutral space station. The Krithak trusted him because he had helped them coordinate supply deliveries and maintain their equipment. They never suspected that every repair he made included hidden monitoring devices. Every time he fixed their communication systems, he installed backdoors that allowed human intelligence to read their most secret messages. Today, those backdoors would serve a different purpose. Admiral, Jack reported, I'm ready to begin electronic warfare operations. We have complete access to their navigation, weapons, and life support systems. Carter checked his watch. Begin jamming in 14 minutes. I want them completely blind before we reveal ourselves. The Vengeance was not alone in the Deneb system. 15 other human warships waited in perfect concealment, positioned to create an inescapable trap. These vessels had been built in secret facilities hidden throughout human space, using technology that was decades ahead of anything aliens possessed. The ships of Ghost Fleet were designed for one purpose: killing alien vessels quickly and efficiently. They carried weapons that could penetrate any known shield technology. Their hulls were made of materials that could absorb energy weapon impacts without taking damage. Their engines could accelerate faster than alien sensors could track. Captain Diana Ross commanded the destroyer Nightmare from her concealed position near the system's 4th planet. Her ship specialized in close-range combat and had been modified for maximum killing power. Every weapon system had been tested against captured alien vessels to ensure perfect effectiveness. Captain, her weapons officer reported, we have firing solutions on all Krithak escorts. Torpedoes are loaded and ready. Diana had served in Ghost Fleet for 12 years, participating in secret missions that no alien government knew about. She had destroyed pirate bases, eliminated terrorist cells, and removed threats to human interests throughout the galaxy. Today would be her first official combat operation, but it felt like just another day's work. The Krithak fleet continued its approach, unaware that death surrounded them on all sides. Emperor Vashatar's voice boomed across subspace radio as he declared his intentions to the galaxy. Let all species witness Krithak power, the Emperor announced. Today we claim the Deneb system and its resources for our empire. Any humans who resist will share the fate of the pathetic Taliesh. The broadcast reached human command centers throughout the galaxy, where officers listened with grim satisfaction. The Krithak were providing perfect justification for what was about to happen. No alien species would be able to claim that humanity had acted without provocation. Aboard the Vengeance, Carter activated the ship's long-range sensors and began the final targeting sequence. Human technology could identify specific weak points on alien vessels from distances that alien sensors could not even detect human ships. Every Krithak vessel had been analyzed and cataloged, with detailed plans for how to destroy each one. All ships, this is Admiral Carter, he announced on the secure human frequency. Operation Revelation Phase 2 is now active. Eliminate all Krithak forces. Leave no survivors. The last part of the order was crucial. This attack was not just about military victory. It was about sending a message to every species in the galaxy. Anyone who challenged humanity would face complete annihilation. Lieutenant Commander Jack Sullivan activated his electronic warfare systems. Instantly, the Krithak fleet lost all communication with each other and with their home worlds. Their navigation computers began displaying false information. Their weapon system started cycling through random targeting sequences. The Krithak crews panicked as their ships became uncontrollable. Years of backdoor access allowed human hackers to manipulate every electronic system on the alien vessels. Life support systems began shutting down. Artificial gravity failed on several ships. Emergency alarms wailed as Krithak warriors found themselves helpless inside their own vessels. All ships, Carter commanded, begin attack sequence. Primary targets are command vessels. Secondary targets are escort craft. Remember, no survivors. Ghost Fleet revealed itself like a pack of hunting wolves surrounding trapped prey. Human ships materialized out of empty space, their stealth systems deactivating to show their true positions. The Krithak found themselves surrounded by vessels that should not have existed. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. Human weapons struck with surgical precision, targeting specific systems on each Krithak ship. Power cores exploded in controlled detonations. Life support systems failed throughout the fleet. Escape pods launched automatically, but were destroyed before they could reach minimum safe distance. Captain Diana Ross watched her targeting display as Nightmare's weapons eliminated. 3 Krithak escorts in rapid succession. Each shot had been calculated to cause maximum psychological impact on any alien observers who might analyze the wreckage later. The destruction patterns would show that humans could kill with terrifying precision. The Krithak heavy cruiser Bloodfang tried to fight back, but its weapons could not target the human ships effectively. Ghost Fleet vessels moved too fast and changed direction too quickly for alien targeting systems to track. When Krithak weapons did manage to hit human ships, they caused no significant damage. Admiral Carter watched the destruction with professional satisfaction. Every aspect of the battle proceeded exactly according to plan. Human intelligence had predicted Krithak tactics perfectly. Human technology proved superior to alien equipment. Human training showed its effectiveness against an enemy that relied on intimidation rather than skill. Admiral, reported Captain Moore, all Krithak vessels have been destroyed. We're detecting no life signs from any wreckage. Carter nodded. Begin recovery operations. I want every piece of debris collected and analyzed. Then prepare for jump to the next target system. The cleanup process was as important as the battle itself. Human ships used specialized equipment to gather every fragment of Krithak technology. The wreckage would be studied to improve human weapons and develop new ways to kill alien species more efficiently. More importantly, the debris field would be carefully arranged to create maximum psychological impact. When alien investigation teams arrived, they would find evidence of destruction so complete and precise that it would terrify every government in the galaxy. Dr. Catherine Lee analyzed the battlefield from her laboratory ship. She had developed several biological weapons specifically designed to kill Krithak warriors, but the battle had ended too quickly to test them. Instead, she collected genetic samples from the wreckage to improve her research for future conflicts. Doctor, her assistant reported, we're receiving data from the other battle sites. Human forces are achieving similar results throughout Krithak space. Catherine smiled as she reviewed the reports. In 17 different star systems, Ghost Fleet units were simultaneously destroying Krithak forces. The scale of coordination required for such an operation proved that human military planning was far more advanced than any alien. Government had suspected the Krithak Empire was learning the difference between human patience and human weakness. For 70 years, humans had appeared peaceful and cooperative. In reality, they had been studying their enemies and preparing for war. Every diplomatic mission had been a reconnaissance operation. Every cultural exchange had been an intelligence-gathering effort. Emperor Vashtar received reports of the disasters from his command center on the Captain Alex. Turner guided his stealth ship through the outer edge of the Krithak home system without triggering a single sensor alarm. The Invisible had been operating in enemy territory for 2 weeks since the destruction of the Krithak fleets at Deneb. But the aliens still had no idea that human forces had penetrated their most secure space. Turner's mission was not to attack the Krithak homeworld directly. That would come later. Instead, his job was to demonstrate how completely humans understood their enemy and how helpless the Krithak were to defend themselves. Captain, reported his science officer, Lieutenant Karen White. We're detecting the supply convoy exactly where intelligence predicted. 6 cargo ships with 4 escort vessels, carrying processed metals from the Vorth mining colonies. Turner nodded and checked his tactical display. For the past 5 years, his ship had been mapping Krithak supply routes and noting the timing of regular shipments. The aliens followed predictable patterns because they had never faced an enemy capable of learning their habits. "Any sign that they know we're here?" Turner asked. "None, sir. Their sensors are scanning for ships using conventional technology. Our stealth systems are invisible to their equipment." The Krithak convoy moved slowly through space, following a route that had been used safely for decades. The cargo ships were heavily loaded with rare metals needed for Krithak weapon production. The escort vessels maintained a standard defensive formation that looked impressive, but had obvious weaknesses. Turner had no intention of destroying the convoy with weapons fire. That would be too obvious and too quick. Instead, he planned to demonstrate a new form of warfare that would terrify every alien species in the galaxy. "Karen, begin deployment of the nanobots. Target the lead escort vessel first." Lieutenant White activated a specialized launcher that released millions of microscopic robots into space. The nanobots were invisible to Krithak sensors and designed to penetrate alien hull materials without triggering any alarms. Once inside an enemy ship, they would begin their real work. Dr. Catherine Lee had spent 3 years developing nanobots specifically designed to target Krithak technology and biology. The microscopic machines could disable electronic systems, corrupt computer programs, and release toxins into alien life support systems. They were the perfect weapon for invisible warfare. The nanobots reached the first Krithak escort ship and began penetrating its hull. Within minutes, they had spread throughout the vessel's internal systems. The Krithak crew noticed nothing unusual as the tiny machines prepared to demonstrate human technological superiority. "Nanobots have achieved full penetration," Karen reported, "ready to activate primary functions." Turner waited until the convoy was far from any help. "Begin Phase 1. Disable their communications and navigation systems." The nanobots activated simultaneously throughout the Krithak ship. Communication equipment began failing as the tiny machines damaged critical components. Navigation computers started displaying false information as their programs were corrupted. The Krithak crew found themselves isolated and lost in space. "Phase 1 complete," Karen announced. "The ship is blind and deaf." "Excellent. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 targeted the ship's life support systems. The nanobots released a chemical compound that Dr. Lee had designed specifically for Krithak physiology. The substance was harmless to other species but caused a temporary paralysis in Krithak nervous systems. Within an hour, the entire crew of the escort vessel was unconscious. Their ship continued to drift through space, apparently undamaged but completely helpless. The other ships in the convoy had no idea what had happened to their companions. Turner smiled as he watched the alien ship float helplessly in space. "Karen, transmit the demonstration message to Krithak Command. Let them know exactly what we just did to their ship." The message that reached Krithak military headquarters was designed to cause maximum psychological impact. It described in precise detail how human nanobots had disabled the escort vessel without triggering any alarms or causing any obvious damage. The Krithak learned that humans could render their ships helpless without firing a single weapon. More terrifying was the implication that this attack could be repeated anywhere at any time. If humans had nanobots capable of penetrating Krithak defenses, then no Krithak ship was safe from invisible attack. Every vessel in their fleet could be disabled without warning. Emperor Vashitar read the report in his command center and felt fear for the first time in his adult life. The humans were not fighting like any enemy he had ever faced. Instead of using brute force, they were demonstrating a level of technological sophistication that made Krithak weapons seem primitive. "How many ships do we have that might be infected with these nanobots?" the Emperor asked his chief advisor. "Unknown, my lord. Human ships have been present throughout our territory for years. If they were releasing these devices during routine visits, any of our vessels could be compromised." The Emperor's massive fists clenched in frustration. Every Krithak warship might already be infected with human nanobots waiting for activation. His entire fleet could be disabled at any moment without warning. Colonel Nina Rodriguez led her team through the Krithak Military Academy on their border world of Kethmar. For 5 years, she had visited this facility regularly as part of cultural exchange programs. The Krithak had proudly shown her their training methods and military traditions, never suspecting that she was memorizing every detail for future use. Nina's mission tonight was to demonstrate another aspect of human superiority: While the nanobots showed technological dominance, her operation would prove that humans could strike at the heart of Krithak society whenever they chose. "Colonel," whispered Sergeant Pete Williams, "we're in position at the central computer core, ready to begin data extraction." Nina activated her portable computer system and began downloading every file from the Krithak military database. Student records, training programs, strategic plans, personnel assignments, and secret research projects all flowed into human storage devices. The information would be invaluable for future operations, but the real purpose of the mission was psychological. The Krithak would soon discover that humans had complete access to their most classified military secrets. They would realize that every defensive plan and strategic decision was known to their enemies. "Download complete," Pete reported. "We also planted the virus as ordered." The virus was Nina's calling card, designed to activate 3 days after installation. When it triggered, every computer in the Krithak Military Academy would display the same message. "Humanity is watching. Humanity is everywhere. Surrender is your only option." Similar operations were taking place throughout Krithak space. Human special forces teams that had spent years building trust and gaining access were now using that access to strike at enemy infrastructure. Power plants suffered mysterious failures. Communication networks experienced unexplained disruptions. Military bases found their security systems compromised. The attacks were carefully coordinated to create maximum confusion and fear. The Krithak military began to suspect that every human they had ever trusted was actually an enemy agent. Paranoia spread through their ranks as they realized how completely they had been infiltrated. Captain Diana Ross commanded a squadron of stealth ships that specialized in psychological warfare. Her vessels had spent the past week eliminating Krithak outposts in remote star systems. The attacks followed a specific pattern designed to create terror among enemy forces. "Captain," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender requests from the Krithak garrison on asteroid base Theta 7. They're offering to lay down their weapons in exchange for their lives." Diana checked her orders and shook her head. "Negative. No prisoners, no survivors. Proceed with bombardment as planned." The policy of taking no prisoners was crucial to the psychological campaign. Krithak warriors who might have fought bravely if they believed surrender was possible became desperate and panicked when they realized that death was their only option. Fear spread faster than any weapon. Admiral Susan Blake monitored the progress of all operations from her command center on Earth. Reports flowed in from across Krithak space as human forces systematically dismantled enemy infrastructure and eliminated resistance. Every attack had been planned years in advance and executed with perfect precision. "Admiral," her aide reported, "Krithak industrial production has dropped to 30% of normal levels. Their supply lines are completely disrupted. Military communications are operating at less than 50% efficiency." Blake nodded with satisfaction. The Krithak Empire was being methodically destroyed without humans having to commit large forces to direct combat. Psychological warfare, technological superiority, and precise intelligence were proving more effective than massive battles. "What about their civilian population?" Blake asked. "Panic is spreading throughout Krithak territory. Civilian ships are fleeing their home systems. Several colony worlds have declared independence from the Empire and are requesting human protection." The civilian reaction was exactly what human planners had hoped for. As the Krithak military proved unable to defend their own territory, ordinary citizens lost faith in their government. The Empire. Emperor Vashishtar stood in his command center, watching the tactical display that showed the complete collapse of his empire. Red indicators marked destroyed fleets, compromised bases, and lost territories. In 3 weeks, the mighty Krithak Empire had been reduced to a handful of core worlds desperately trying to coordinate a defense. "My lord," his chief military advisor reported with a trembling voice, "we have lost contact with the Outer Rim colonies. The humans appear to have severed all our communication. Links to the frontier systems, Vashtar's." Armored claws scraped against the metal console as he struggled to understand how his people had fallen so quickly. The Krithak military had been the most feared force in the galaxy for centuries. Now they were being systematically destroyed by an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. "What news from our intelligence networks?" the Emperor demanded. "Gone, my lord. Every agent we had in human space has been eliminated or turned against us. We have no information about human troop movements or strategic plans." The truth was even worse than his advisor dared to admit. Intercepted Krethak communications revealed that human intelligence had been monitoring every Krethak message for years. Their codes had been broken, their plans had been read, and their agents had been identified. Long before the war began, Admiral Blake reviewed the latest intelligence reports from her command center on Earth. The systematic destruction of Krethak. Resistance was proceeding exactly according to schedule. More importantly, alien governments throughout the galaxy were beginning to understand the true scope of human preparation. Admiral, Captain Lewis announced, we're receiving surrender offers from 4 more Krethak colony worlds. They're requesting immediate human protection from their own government. Blake nodded. Accept the surrenders and begin occupation procedures. Make sure our forces demonstrate proper restraint toward civilian populations. We want other species to see that humans can be merciful to those who submit willingly. The distinction was crucial. Humans were showing the galaxy that cooperation would be rewarded, while resistance would result in complete annihilation. The Krethak military faced extinction, but Krethak civilians who accepted human authority would be protected and cared for. Commander Jerry Walsh prepared his ship for the demonstration that would break the last Krethak resistance. The UES Phantom was not like other human vessels. It had been built using technology that combined human engineering with scientific principles, borrowed from a dozen alien species. For 20 years, human scientists had been studying theoretical physics concepts shared by alien researchers during peaceful exchanges. The aliens had thought they were participating in beneficial scientific collaboration. They had no idea that humans were using their knowledge to develop weapons beyond their imagination. Commander, his science officer reported, the dimensional displacement device is ready for activation. We have a target lock on the Krethak homeworld's moon. Walsh checked his calculations one final time. The device his ship carried could transport matter into an alternate dimension, where it would remain trapped forever. The technology had been tested on asteroids and small planetoids, but today would mark its first use as a weapon of war. Send the final surrender demand to Emperor Vashitar, Walsh ordered. Give him 1 hour to respond with complete capitulation. The message that reached the Krethak homeworld was simple and direct. Emperor Vashtar could surrender unconditionally and accept human authority over all Krethak territory, or he could face a demonstration of human technological superiority that would convince him that resistance was futile. Vashitar read the ultimatum with growing rage. No Krethak emperor had ever surrendered to an enemy force. His warrior culture demanded that he fight to the death rather than submit to alien rule. Even if his empire was doomed, he would face destruction with honor. Send our response, he commanded. The Krethak Empire will never surrender to human demands. We choose death before dishonor. The reply reached Commander Walsh exactly 57 minutes after his ultimatum had been delivered. He felt no satisfaction in the Krethak Emperor's predictable response. The aliens had chosen their fate according to their cultural programming, just as human planners had expected. Begin dimensional displacement, Walsh ordered. Target the homeworld's moon. The process was invisible to external observation. Energy fields surrounding the Phantom generated a space-time distortion that opened a gateway into an alternate dimension. The moon of the Krethak homeworld simply ceased to exist in normal space, leaving behind only empty vacuum where a celestial body had orbited for millions of years. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. Across the Krethak homeworld, billions of citizens looked up at their night sky and saw empty space where their moon had always been. No explosion, no debris field, no explanation. Their moon had simply vanished as if it had never existed. Panic spread through the Krethak population as they realized they faced an enemy with godlike powers. If humans could make a moon disappear without trace, what could they do to planets or entire star systems? What kind of technology could erase matter from existence itself? Emperor Vashitar received the recorded message that accompanied the demonstration. Commander Walsh appeared on the screen wearing the calm expression that all human military officers had perfected over decades of psychological warfare. Emperor Vashitar, Walsh said in a conversational tone, your moon has been transported to Dimension 7, where it will remain for approximately 10,000 years. This technology can be applied to any object of any size, including planets, space stations, or individual living beings. The message continued with technical details that made the demonstration even more terrifying. The dimensional displacement device could target specific areas with surgical precision. It could remove enemy weapons while leaving the rest of a ship intact. It could eliminate hostile troops while sparing nearby civilians. This is your final opportunity to surrender, Walsh concluded. Choose wisely. Throughout the galaxy, alien intelligence services intercepted the broadcast and shared it with their governments. The implications were staggering. Humans possessed technology that could erase entire worlds from existence. No defense could protect against a weapon that operated outside normal space-time. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session as representatives from every major species demanded answers. How had humans developed such advanced technology in secret? What other weapons were they hiding? How long had they been planning for galactic conquest? Ambassador Rick Chen attended the meeting with a small escort of human guards. The aliens expected him to offer explanations or justifications for human actions. Instead, he simply presented them with a series of facts that redefined their understanding of galactic politics. For 70 years, Rick began, humanity has maintained detailed files on every species in this galaxy. We know your military capabilities, your technological limitations, your political weaknesses, and your cultural vulnerabilities. We have contingency plans for conflict with any combination of alien forces. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humans had not been preparing for war against the Krithak specifically. They had been preparing for war against everyone. Rick continued. Hidden throughout human space are manufacturing facilities that have been producing advanced weapons for decades. Our merchant fleets consist entirely of military vessels disguised as civilian ships. Our colonies are actually fortified bases with defensive capabilities that exceed most planetary governments. He activated a holographic display that showed the true extent of human military infrastructure. Weapon production facilities hidden inside asteroid mines, battleship construction yards disguised as civilian shipyards, military bases concealed within seemingly peaceful agricultural colonies. Every human you have ever met, Rick said calmly, has been gathering intelligence on your species. Every cultural exchange, every trade negotiation, every diplomatic contact has been an opportunity to learn your weaknesses and plan for your eventual defeat. The Vextai representative, her crystal body flickering with terrified colors, asked, "How many species do you have plans to destroy?" Rick's answer chilled every alien in the chamber. All of them. The scope of human preparation was beyond anything alien governments had imagined. For 70 years, while appearing to be peaceful mediators, humans had been conducting the largest intelligence operation in galactic history. They had studied every alien species, mapped every star system, and identified every strategic resource. Dr. Catherine Lee's research had produced biological weapons specifically designed to kill every known alien species. Human engineers had developed cyber weapons capable of penetrating any alien computer system. Military planners had created detailed strategies for conquering every inhabited world in the galaxy. The Krithak attack on the Talish had not surprised humans. Intelligence reports showed that Krithak military leaders had been planning the assault for months. Humans had allowed it to happen because they needed a justification for revealing their true nature to the galaxy. Emperor Vashitar finally understood the trap his people had walked into. The humans had manipulated the Krithak into providing the perfect excuse for demonstrating their. The Galactic Council chambers had never been designed to accommodate a human fleet. Massive warships now surrounded New Geneva Station in formations that blocked out the stars. Each vessel broadcast power readings that exceeded the defensive capabilities of entire planetary systems. The message was clear. Humanity had not come to negotiate. Admiral Blake walked through the station corridors with a small escort of human marines. Alien citizens pressed themselves against the walls as she passed, their eyes wide with fear and respect. These were the same corridors where humans had walked as humble peacekeepers for 70 years. Now every alien understood what they were really seeing. The council chamber itself had been reconfigured. The circular arrangement that had symbolized equality among species was gone. In its place stood a single elevated platform, where Admiral Blake would address the representatives of every major alien government. The symbolism was deliberate and unmistakable. Blake took her position at the podium and looked out at the assembled aliens. Vextai representatives flickered with nervous colors. Mercon delegates kept their gills fluttering in distress. Even the proud insectoid Zarthek clicked their mandibles in obvious anxiety. Every species that had once considered humans to be gentle mediators now saw them as potential exterminators. Representatives of the galactic community, Blake began in the same calm voice that humans had always used during diplomatic meetings. The age of independent alien governments has ended. You now exist under human authority. The words echoed through the chamber like a death sentence. For thousands of years, each species had governed itself according to its own traditions and values. Wars had been fought to preserve independence. Entire civilizations had chosen extinction rather than submit to foreign rule. Blake continued, "The terms of your new status are simple. Your existing governments may continue to operate, but all military decisions must be approved by human command. All territorial disputes will be resolved by human arbitration. Any act of aggression against any species will result in immediate human intervention." A nebula representative, its gaseous form pulsing with agitated luminescence, asked, "What gives humanity the right to impose such terms on sovereign governments?" Blake gestured toward the windows where human warships were visible in every direction. "This gives us the right. We have the power to enforce our will throughout the galaxy. You have the choice to cooperate or face the same fate as the Krithak Empire." The reference to the Krithak sent a chill through every alien present. News of the Empire's complete destruction had spread throughout the galaxy. Proud Krithak warriors had been reduced to refugees seeking human protection. Their homeworld was now occupied by human forces that ruled with absolute authority. Lieutenant Karen Stone entered the chamber carrying a series of data storage devices. For 15 years, she had worked as a cultural attaché in various alien capitals. Her friendly demeanor and genuine interest in alien customs had made her welcome in government buildings throughout the galaxy. What her alien hosts had never suspected was that Karen was actually the head of human intelligence operations. Every conversation, every cultural ceremony, every friendly dinner had been an opportunity to gather classified information about alien governments and military capabilities. "Admiral," Karen announced, "I have prepared detailed intelligence profiles for each species represented here today." She began distributing data files to each alien delegation. The files contained information that should have been impossible for outsiders to obtain. Military command structures, secret weapon projects, classified research programs, and personal information about government leaders. The Zarthek delegate opened his file and made a chittering sound of distress. The document contained complete blueprints for Zarthek hive cities, including the location of queen chambers that were supposed to be secret. It listed the names and personal habits of every Zarthek military commander. It even included genetic profiles of the royal family. "How did you obtain this information?" the Zarthek demanded. Karen smiled with the same warmth she had shown during years of friendly cultural exchanges. "We have been studying your people for 70 years. Every Zarthek who visited human space was scanned and analyzed. Every cultural artifact you shared with us was examined for strategic intelligence. Every friendly conversation revealed details about your society." Similar reactions occurred throughout the chamber, as each species discovered how thoroughly they had been infiltrated and studied. The Mercon found detailed maps of their underwater cities. The Vextai learned that humans understood their crystal-based technology better than their own engineers did. The scope of human intelligence gathering was staggering. Decades of peaceful contact had been used to create the most comprehensive database of alien capabilities in galactic history. Every weakness had been cataloged. Every defensive system had been analyzed. Every cultural vulnerability had been identified. Blake watched the alien representatives struggle to comprehend their new reality. "These files represent a fraction of what we know about your species. Human intelligence operations have been active in every alien government for decades. We know more about your military capabilities than your own commanders do." The implications were terrifying. If humans possessed such detailed knowledge of alien societies, then every defensive plan was compromised. Every military secret was known to the enemy. Every attempt at resistance could be anticipated and countered. Dr. Helen Foster appeared on the chamber's main display screen, broadcasting from her office on Earth. As president of the Human Colonial Authority, she had spent 40 years building humanity's reputation as wise and peaceful leaders. Today she would formalize the end of that deception. "Citizens of the galaxy," Helen said in her familiar grandmotherly voice, "today marks the beginning of a new era in galactic civilization. Under human guidance, the constant warfare that has plagued this galaxy for millennia will finally end." Her words carried the weight of absolute authority. Behind her, Displays showed human military forces positioned throughout alien space. Every major trade route was controlled by human vessels. Every strategic resource was protected by human weapons. Every inhabited system was monitored by human intelligence networks. Resistance to human authority will not be tolerated, Helen continued. Species that choose cooperation will prosper under our protection. Those that choose defiance will face the same fate as the Krithek Empire. The choice was simple and stark. Submit to human rule or face extinction. There were no other options. The Vextai representative, her crystal body now dim with defeat, asked, "What assurances do we have that humanity will rule justly? What prevents you from becoming tyrants who oppress all other species?" Blake's answer revealed the cold logic behind human strategy. Our goal is not oppression but control. Dead aliens serve no useful purpose. We want your species to survive and prosper under our guidance, but we will not tolerate any threat to human authority. The distinction was crucial. Humans were not genocidal conquerors seeking to eliminate all alien life. They were pragmatic rulers who wanted to exploit alien resources and labor while maintaining absolute political control. Cooperation would be rewarded. Resistance would be eliminated. Commander Paul Harris, formerly a peaceful communications specialist, now revealed his true role as head of human surveillance operations. He activated a holographic display that showed the real extent of human monitoring capabilities. Every communication in this galaxy passes through networks that we control, Paul announced. We monitor all governmental communications, all military transmissions, and all civilian broadcasts. Privacy is a privilege that we grant or revoke as we see fit. The display showed intercept stations hidden throughout alien space. Communication satellites that appeared to belong to alien governments were actually human intelligence gathering devices. Even private messages between alien citizens were subject to human surveillance. The Mercon delegate asked desperately, "How long have you been monitoring our communications?" "Since the first day humans offered to help upgrade your communication networks," Paul replied. "Every technical assistance program, every infrastructure improvement project, every beneficial technology transfer has been an opportunity to install monitoring equipment. 70 years of helpful human engineers had created a galaxy-wide surveillance network that gave humans access to every alien conversation. No plot could be planned in secret. No resistance could be organized without human knowledge." Blake concluded the meeting with a formal declaration that redefined galactic politics. Effective immediately, the Galactic Council is dissolved. In its place, we establish the Human Colonial Administration. Each species will be represented by a human governor who will ensure compliance with our policies. The vote that followed was unanimous, not because the aliens agreed with human demands, but because they understood that refusal meant death. The Krethek had shown what happened to species that challenged human authority. No other government wanted to risk the complete extinction of their people. As the meeting ended, alien representatives left the chamber with the weight of defeat heavy on their. 6 months after the dissolution of the Galactic Council, Captain Jake Morrison stood once again on the bridge of the UES Harmony. The ship still bore its peaceful white and blue paint scheme, and its mission remained officially the same: maintaining peace between alien species. But everything else had changed. Forever. The latest conflict brought to his attention involved a trade dispute between the aquatic Mercon and the crystalline, Vextai over shipping routes through the Centauri Nebula. Under the old system, such disputes might have dragged on for years while diplomatic committees debated territorial rights and historical claims. Now the resolution was swift and absolute. Captain Morrison, Commander Lisa Park reported from her station. Both delegations have arrived and are waiting in Conference Room Alpha. Jake nodded and made his way to the meeting. Lisa followed behind him, carrying the same diplomatic files she had always used during negotiations. To any casual observer, this looked like countless other peaceful mediation sessions from the past 70 years. The Mercon delegate, her silver scales gleaming under the conference room lights, began the meeting with formal complaints about Vextai interference with established shipping lanes. Her voice carried the tone of someone who expected to be heard and respected. The Vextai representative, light patterns flickering through his crystal body, responded with equally formal objections to Mercon expansion into territory that his people claimed by ancient right. Jake listened to both sides with the same patient attention he had always shown during diplomatic meetings. He asked thoughtful questions and nodded at appropriate moments. But now both alien delegates watched his face with nervous intensity, searching for any sign of displeasure. "I understand your concerns," Jake said in his familiar calm voice. "This is clearly a complex situation with valid points on both sides." The American delegate relaxed slightly at his peaceful tone. The Vextai representative's light patterns shifted to more hopeful colors. For a moment they might have believed they were back in the old days when human mediators found compromise solutions that satisfied everyone. "However," Jake continued, and both aliens tensed immediately, "the human colonial administration has already determined how this dispute will be resolved." He activated the conference room's display screen, which showed a detailed map of the Centauri Nebula. Red lines marked new shipping corridors that neither species had requested. Blue zones indicated areas that would be administered directly by human authorities. "The Mercon will use shipping lanes Alpha through Delta," Jake announced. "The Vextai will use lanes Echo through Hotel. All cargo passing through the nebula will be inspected at Human Customs Station Centauri 1. Transit fees will be collected to fund nebula maintenance operations." Both delegates stared at the map in stunned silence. Neither species would get what they had asked for. Instead, they would both operate under human supervision while paying fees to human authorities for the privilege of using space that had belonged to them for centuries. This solution ensures fair access for both species while maintaining order and security, Jake explained with the same reasonable tone he had always used. "Human patrol ships will enforce the new shipping lanes and provide protection against piracy." The Vextai representative's light patterns flickered with suppressed anger. "Captain Morrison, with respect, neither of our governments requested human administration of the nebula. We simply wanted mediation of our territorial dispute." Jake's expression remained pleasant and helpful. "The human colonial administration has determined that direct oversight is necessary to prevent future conflicts in this strategically important region. The decision is final and non-negotiable." The words carried an implicit threat that both aliens understood perfectly. They had seen what happened to species that challenged human decisions. The Krithak Empire no longer existed. Its homeworld was now called New Terra, and served as headquarters for the human colonial administration's military operations in that sector. "Of course," the Mercon delegate said quickly, "we appreciate human wisdom in resolving this matter. When will the new shipping lanes become operational?" "Human engineering teams are already installing navigation beacons and customs stations," Lisa Park replied. "The new system will be fully operational within 30 days. The meeting ended with formal expressions of gratitude from both species. They thanked Jake for his fair and thoughtful mediation. They praised human wisdom and efficiency. They promised full cooperation with the new regulations. What they did not say was what everyone in the room understood. They had no choice but to accept whatever humans decided. Resistance meant death. Compliance meant survival under human authority. After the aliens left, Jake stood alone in the conference room and looked out at the stars. He had been mediating disputes like this for over 20 years. In the old days, he had taken genuine satisfaction in finding solutions that made both sides happy. Now he simply imposed human will while maintaining the pretense of fairness. The results were undeniably effective. Wars that had raged for millennia had ended overnight when humans revealed their true nature. Territorial disputes that had claimed billions of lives were now resolved with a single human decision. Pirates and terrorists had been eliminated by human forces that showed no mercy to anyone who threatened galactic stability. Peace had finally come to the galaxy, but it was a peace built on fear rather than understanding. Jake made his way to his private quarters and activated his personal recording system. For 23 years, he had maintained a private log that documented his thoughts and experiences as a human operative in alien space. Today's entry would be more significant than most. Personal log, Captain Jake Morrison, stardate 2387.247, he began. "Today I resolved another dispute between alien species using the new protocols established by the Human Colonial Administration. The process took 37 minutes compared to the months or years such negotiations would have required under the old system." He paused, considering his words carefully. Even private logs could be monitored by human intelligence services. But some thoughts demanded expression, even if they carried risks. "The efficiency of our new approach is remarkable," Jake continued. Alien species no longer waste time and resources on conflicts that can be resolved through direct human intervention. The galaxy is more stable and peaceful than it has been in recorded history. These were the official reasons given for human domination. Order, stability, peace, and efficiency, all true statements that concealed the deeper reality of what humanity had become. However, Jake said more quietly, I sometimes wonder about the long-term consequences of ruling through fear rather than respect. Our former allies now see us as conquerors rather than protectors. Our former friends now obey us because they are terrified of the alternatives. He thought about the Talesh, the gentle species whose massacre had provided the justification for everything that followed. Intelligence reports had detected Krithak attack plans weeks before the assault occurred. Human forces could have intervened to prevent the genocide. Instead, they had allowed billions of innocent beings to die because their deaths served human strategic goals. The Talesh massacre had given humanity the moral justification it needed to reveal its true nature to the galaxy. The Talesh situation continues to weigh on my conscience, Jake admitted to his private recorder. Human intelligence was aware of Krithak intentions but chose not to intervene. We allowed an entire civilization to be destroyed in order to create the conditions necessary for our revelation. This was the secret that even most humans did not know. The patient killers had been so patient that they had sacrificed an entire species to achieve their ultimate goals. The Talesh had died not because humans were too weak to save them, but because their deaths were more useful than their survival. Jake stood and walked to the viewport in his quarters. Outside, he could see human patrol ships conducting routine sweeps of the system. Their presence ensured that no alien vessel could move without human knowledge and approval. The galaxy had become a prison where every species existed at human sufferance. Final thoughts for today's entry, Jake said as he returned to his recorder. The galaxy is at peace. Wars have ended. Suffering has been minimized. Millions of lives are saved every year because conflicts are resolved through human arbitration rather than through violence. He paused again, struggling with the moral complexity of humanity's new role. But we rule through terror rather than love. We are feared rather than respected. Our former friends now hate us even as they obey us. We have achieved perfect order at the cost of becoming the monsters we once claimed to oppose. Jake deactivated the recorder and sat in silence for several minutes. Tomorrow he would mediate another dispute with the same calm efficiency he had shown today. Alien species would thank him for his wisdom while secretly planning rebellions they would never dare to attempt. The galaxy had learned that humans were not peacekeepers by nature. They were patient killers who had found a more efficient way to eliminate threats. The peace they enforced was not built on justice or understanding, but on the terrifying knowledge that humanity could destroy any species that displeased them.